Okay, let's dive into this explainer, because we are unpacking something truly fascinating today. We hear so much about tech unicorns coming out of Silicon Valley or these massive global hubs, right? But today, we're looking at a regional hatchery in Northeast India, and they are quietly architecting this incredible master plan to transform into a massive AgriTech ecosystem by the year 2040. We're talking about Emon Hatcheries. And honestly, this is a total masterclass in how a traditional, grounded business plans to scale up using digital technology. Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the protein deficit crisis. Second, how they're not just a hatchery. Third, the ecosystem flywheel. Fourth, tech meets traditional farming. Fifth, the roadmap to scale. And finally, we'll look at building the 2040 vision.
Section 1. The protein deficit crisis.
So to really understand this grand vision, we have to ground ourselves in the severe, urgent reality of Northeast India's agricultural landscape today. Right now, the region faces a staggering annual shortfall of 700 crore, that's 7 billion eggs. Just think about that scale for a second. That is enough eggs to circle the earth end-to-end multiple times. This massive demand gap makes the region heavily dependent on imports from other states, and that results in a supply chain that's incredibly unstable and costly. It's a foundational food security risk.
Which begs the question, how do you actually solve a protein crisis this massive? I mean, you can't just build a few more farms and call it a day, right? The underlying system itself is fragmented, it's unorganized, and it completely lacks modern infrastructure. It requires a total, systemic overhaul.
And here's the thing, it's not just about the sheer quantity of food, it's about the safety. As we can see here, unsafe supply chains drive millions of foodborne illnesses every single year, with some pretty tragic fatality rates. Consumers are stuck facing unsafe, antibiotic-laden meat purely because there is no trustworthy, traceable supply chain in place.
And this brings us right to the pivot. The old, dangerous way of sourcing meat relies on this fragmented ecosystem. Small farmers just don't have access to modern tools or quality control. Emon Hatcheries is stepping in with the exact opposite approach through their retail arm, DesiMeatz. They're building a traceable, hygienic, integrated network. They're securing local food supply while actually giving consumers a premium, safe brand that they can trust.
Section 2. Not just a hatchery.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how Emon is fundamentally changing its own DNA to meet these challenges. A traditional hatchery just sells chicks, right? It's a one-and-done product transaction. But Emon, they are building a platform. They're shifting from limited tech and offline distribution to an AI and IoT data platform with a full digital marketplace. And crucially, from a business perspective, they're moving away from unpredictable one-time sales toward predictable, recurring software and subscription revenue.
But, don't let all this talk of software and digital platforms fool you into thinking this is just some vaporware startup. This vision is deeply grounded in physical reality. Emon already has 9 years of on-ground experience in Assam. These physical incubators and their existing network of farmers, that forms the hard operational roots that their entire digital future is being built upon.
Section 3. The ecosystem flywheel. With that solid foundation in place, let's explore the core investment thesis of their master blueprint. This quote right here really says it all. Emon Hatcheries should become the operating system for poultry farmers. They don't just want to be a supplier. They want to run the entire back end of a farmer's daily operations, literally from the moment they decide to start a farm all the way to the moment they sell their final product to a consumer.
To pull that off, they've designed these 7 interconnected pillars. It kicks off with education at the Vision to Venture Academy, then physical inputs from Emon Hatcheries. From there, farmers can monitor their smart sheds using Thermo Guard IoT, trade goods on Emon Agrimart, and the final product is processed and sold via DesiMeatz. And backing the whole thing up, you've got Gemtech IT and OfficeGo handling the tech and logistics. It is a completely closed, self-sustaining loop.
And this is what business folks love to call a flywheel. Basically, every time a farmer uses one Emon service, say they buy some chicks, they are naturally pulled into using the others, like using the IoT sensors to keep those chicks alive, and then using the marketplace to sell them. Each business reinforces the others. It locks in customer loyalty while simultaneously multiplying Emon's revenue streams, all without having to constantly spend money acquiring new customers.
Section 4. Tech meets traditional farming.
Let's move to and see how this builds on the ground. Take their Thermo Guard IoT system, for example. It is elegantly simple for the farmer to use, but it's incredibly sophisticated on the back end.
Step 1. Hardware sensors monitor temperature, humidity, and water quality right in the sheds. Step 2. An AI dashboard analyzes that data to predict bird mortality and track growth. Step 3. The farmer gets an instant alert on their phone if something goes wrong. High-tech smart sensors translating directly to higher survival rates for a traditional farmer's flock. It's a total game changer.
And because they're providing so much value in different ways, their revenue model completely transforms. By 2035, their goal is to have hatchery sales make up only 25% of their revenue. The rest, it'll be highly diversified. You're looking at 15% from the marketplace, 10% from software subscriptions, and so on. This makes the company incredibly resilient to shocks, like feed price volatility or disease outbreaks that would normally just devastate a traditional single-line poultry business.
Section 5. The Roadmap to Scale.
Okay, grand visions are great, but how do they actually execute? Well, their blueprint is surprisingly grounded. They aren't trying to conquer all of India on day one. They're hyper-focused on proving the model in Assam first. Starting with just 150 farmers and a 10,000 bird capacity, the goal is to validate the economics and prove the demand. They are building this massive vision step by step, starting with a 20 lakh rupee first close to enable immediate, focused execution. But once that foundation is proven, the scale-up is incredibly aggressive. By tapping into India's massive 2.6 trillion rupee poultry market, they plan to rocket from an initial 8 crore in year 1 to 40 crore in year 3 as they expand across the Northeast. And ultimately, they aim to smash past 100 crore in annual revenue by year 5. That is the raw power of combining a vast, underserved market with a highly scalable digital platform.
Section 6. Building the 2040 Vision.
So the crucial point is how this journey is meticulously mapped all the way out to 2040. They start with foundation and regional leadership in the Northeast over the next 5 years. But by Phase 3 in the early 2030s, they plan a massive pan-India national expansion. By Phase 4, they aim to have 1 million farmers connected to this integrated ecosystem, and by Phase 5, in 2040, they are eyeing global ambition, literally exporting their technology and expertise internationally.
And what does this all mean for the backers helping them build this? The strategic goal is to become an entirely exit-ready agribusiness. Even their conservative exit scenarios over the next 4 to 6 years project valuations between 80 and 100 crore. That generates a 10 to 12 times multiple for early investors. They are building for serious institutional scale for sure, whether that leads to a strategic acquisition or private equity buyout or even a long-term IPO.
It really is a masterclass in seeing beyond the immediate product. Which leaves us with a pretty fascinating thought to take away. If a simple regional hatchery in Northeast India can realistically blueprint its path to becoming a massive digitally driven ecosystem, what other traditional fragmented industries out there are just waiting for this exact kind of tech revolution? Thanks for joining me on this deep dive and keep learning.